Hello twin flames and welcome to this reading. So we're going to talk about today the 5 stages of this journey, how we deal with it from the feminine perspective, how the masculines deal with it too. We're going to bring cards in. So we're going to take a focused look at what we go through and the reasons why. And the stages towards union, which there's a journey of learning to love, learning self, understanding who we truly are. It's really in the stages of what we go through when we lose someone we love in our life, when we go through any grief or loss or any sadness energy. The 5 stages of this journey are all about going within ourselves and healing ourselves and understanding who we truly are. And it's a very deep, intense, powerful journey that we go on. So during this time, we have to have compassion. Not only for others, but most importantly, compassion for the self, the way we experience things, the emotions we feel. Because we learn so much on this journey. We learn to surrender, to let go, to trust, to have faith. And we learn to let go of negative thought patterns, fears, pain, jealousy, anger, and all these things that can hold us back. So there's 5 stages I'm going to talk about today, and then we're going to use the cards at the end. So the first stage we go through is denial. And this can bring in shock. And this works in different ways for the feminine and the masculine. So when we go into separation, or when we don't, we don't have the relationship in the way we want it to be. So say if you come together, it's all magical and wonderful, and then your masculine runs away. They run away because they are in denial. They're in denial of the feelings. They've never felt that way before. And it's a big shock to the system. So they go away to try and process everything. Sometimes they do it in a reaction way, not a responding way, which means they react in fear instead of responding with love. So they can be very hurtful and say harsh things and harmful things to the divine feminine. Things that put you into denial about what the connection is. So you also start to deny your own self because you question things. You wonder if you've made it all up in your head. You wonder if you're going crazy. Sometimes we go into denial because, we just can't understand why it's happened that way. We don't understand why the universe would do that to us. So it takes us into the next stage, which is anger. Okay, let me just bring these in. So we go through denial, which is like the shock, the fear, the pain, the questioning, the doubting, and then we become very angry. We become angry because we don't understand why. We go through pain, we feel all the struggle, we go through guilt, we start asking why these things have happened. What am I learning from this? So this is really the anger that brings all the intense emotion up. And it's okay to feel that. It's okay to experience our emotions on this journey and in the school of life. Because emotions are what make us human. As a spiritual being having that human experience, we realize that we have the power to control our emotions, to harness them. Because sometimes our emotions can be like the ocean. They can be like a big tsunami that causes destruction and damage. Or they can be very beautiful, like lapping waves, being very calm along the beach. And the angels are saying you have that power. And we learn this through what we experience along the way. The masculines become very angry at themselves because they don't understand what love is. When the masculine comes into contact with the divine feminine, whether that be physically, whether that be online, through a dream, through the 5D connection that you share, however they feel your love, they've never experienced that type of unconditional love before. Very genuine, very pure, outstanding. And that makes them very angry because most likely they'll be in a situation that they're not happy in. Or they've tangled themselves up in a karmic situation that they've learned from. And that brings in a breakdown in communication because the masculines struggle with everything. So what they do is they start to deny the connection by distracting themselves and other things, by pretending their life is okay. And that's the denial aspect of it. And then they become angry because they're not happy. They're not happy living the life they've always lived. They're not happy in the relationship they're in, the job they're in, because somewhere deep within their soul, they understand that they've come here for a reason, that there's more to life than this. And you open them up to endless possibilities. You open them up to their true self, and that's scary to them because it means all of a sudden they have to look in the mirror and face their own self. And that's one of the hardest things we can do on this journey, not only as a divine masculine, but as a divine feminine too, because we realize that what's triggering to us is actually growing us. And it can take a while to grasp that concept. So when we feel anger and we feel the frustration and we're questioning and asking why, we can start to bargain. Bargaining comes in. So the feminine will start to bargain with the universe. Okay, I'll be a better person. Okay, I'll do it this way. You may even question what you've done. If I'd have done it differently, would this have happened? If I'd have spoken in that way, if I'd have taken that action step, if I'd have done this. So we go into the energy of fear because we're focusing on the past. So bargaining can also be focusing on the past and thinking if only we'd done something differently. And we start trying to bargain our way out of things, speaking to heaven, but trying to understand why it's all happened the way it has. And then we start realizing who we are. We start making a plan. And each step brings power in, because every step we're learning, we're growing, we're understanding, we're making sense of why things have occurred. So we don't have to get to acceptance to go through the understanding. We understand along the way. So this is also a time where, you'll start to see things from a higher point of view. Things will start to make a little bit more sense. You start to grow up spiritually. You start to understand and realize that, this is real and that you are where you're meant to be and that everything is working out. And that's through the questioning, the doubt and the fear. Because when we go through those things, that's how we find our faith. And that's how we focus and trust in the love that we share. For the masculines, they can kind of bargain in a different way. So they can think, okay, I'll work harder. I'll work harder on this relationship with my karmic partner. I'll give more time to my job. I'll spend more time with family if you take this confusion away. If you take this away from me. Because the masculines know that for them, it's going to be life-changing. Because it's meant to be life-changing. So from their perspective, it's the fear of the unknown. In Frozen 2, Elsa sings about into the unknown. It's very scary, but it's life-changing. And the masculines need to change their life. That's why the feminine comes in the way they do. Like a bolt of lightning, like a bolt of electricity. So when the masculines run away and the feminine is left wondering what is going on, that's why. Because they're thinking about everything, they're processing, they have to go within. It's too bright where you are. You're the sun, you're the light. You're the moon that reflects everything back to them. You're this powerful lighthouse. And the masculine sometimes can't deal with that energy until they move forward with hope. So the masculines start bargaining with everything, trying to make things better. Maybe they even move the furniture around at home and think, oh, well, that'll make everything all right then. I know of a masculine who did that. There's many ways they distract themselves. But really for the bargaining, the masculines are distracting themselves and trying to make their life they're living now better. But it never gets better, because it's not what they're meant to be doing. They may have fleeting moments of happiness, spending time with their children, doing something they love, but they're never quite satisfied. It always reminds me of Bella and Edward in Twilight, the typical twin flame story. But when Edward is talking to Bella about how it is to be a kind of a vegetarian vampire or a vegan vampire, he says, it sustains you, but you're never fully satisfied. And that's how the masculines are, when they are living their karmic life away from the feminine, they can be sustained, but they are never fully satisfied. And, when Edward meets Bella, he knows that no matter what, he has to be with her. And that's why he says to her in that restaurant, I haven't got the power or the strength or the energy to stay away from you anymore. And she says, well, don't. So these are the stages we go through. And this can then lead to depression. For the feminine, it can be very depressing when, you're not with your twin because you feel this need for it. And I spoke about this on a video the other day, the difference between needing someone and needing someone. Even though it's the same word, it has different feelings and emotions. So when we need someone, we feel like we have to have that person to carry on. We feel like we're incomplete without them. When we go through all the fear and the pain, like jealousy, anger, all these feelings come up again. We start bargaining, wondering what's going on, and we feel very sad about it all. We feel like we're missing out on something. How can the universe give me this amazing man or woman if I'm not meant to be with them? So we feel drained, we feel emotional, we feel in pain, we feel there's something missing. And we feel that if our masculine is with us, that will all heal. Well, that's the wrong way of looking at it, because the masculines aren't meant to kind of fill you up in that way. They're meant to enhance your life. And we learn, they're giving me fear, because this may bring fear or trigger energy up because it's healing. When we need someone, it's desire. In a healthy way, it's desire. We need it, we want it, we desire it because we know it will help our life to be better. But we don't need it. It's only the ego that is desperate for it now in this moment. When we need something, we desire something, we're attracting it with power because we know it will come when it's meant to. And we learn and understand that what's meant for our soul and our growth and our journey will be for our soul and our growth and our journey no matter what, because love conquers all things. So in the depression, we go within and we grow our soul. This is the time when we start to appreciate things and understand that what triggers us does heal us. So we start observing the journey. We start observing our emotions and feelings. We allow ourselves to feel it, but we ask ourselves, why? Why am I feeling this way? What is this showing me at this time? How am I growing on this journey? It's very powerful. And the masculines, they remember right now, they're kind of throwing themselves into their life and they're realizing that it's never going to really improve. It can never fully satisfy them. And then they go into a depression. So they start feeling bad. They start feeling guilty. They start going through pain. They start feeling all this emotion. And they spend a lot of time during this time in isolation because that's how they find their self, their soul. That's how they grow their soul. So they'll spend a lot of time away from people. This is a time as well when separation is pivotal because this is when they are healing. This is when they want the divine feminine the most, when they are feeling all of this pain and all they really want is the security blanket of the feminine's love. That's why they crave your chest area, because that's safety. The way a mother puts a baby to the chest, it's very healing and loving. So this is, the period where in this kind of depression energy, where the masculine is more likely to reach out to the divine feminine because, he needs you, she needs you, she needs you, or he needs your light. So there's this depression and they will push people away, so they may even reach out to you and then push you away because they're going through a lot of fighting with their higher self at this time, a lot of soul growth and healing. So they're in this battle with their ego, which is their lower self, their 3D version, and they're fighting against their higher self, which is their higher self, their soul, their intuitive connection with the divine, their 5D self, who they truly are, who they were born to be. So they're going through this battle, real battle going on of energy where they find the self. So they go through depression. They'll also at this time push away family, push away friends, push away a karmic partner, need more time within. They may not understand it, so they may get very angry at this time as well. So even though, the anger stage is there, when they're depressed, they will feel all of this. They'll feel angry, frustrated, guilty. They'll just feel angry at themselves. They go within, they go through all their insecurity and all of their fear. So they can feel very desperate at this stage and wonder what's going on. So they can start looking for answers too. Researching the connection, trying to understand what it is. They may even be looking you up online at this stage to track you down to see what you're doing, how you're handling things, if you've moved on. So this is kind of the energy where they're coming out of the darkness. So even though depression is a dark time, it's not as dark as the initial kind of feeling of what is it all about. You know, when they go into denial and then they try and stick the self in a 3D situation that doesn't serve their soul. It's like they're burying the head in the sand. And that's why in that stage, feminine, you can never get through. Doesn't matter if you show them every guidebook, every YouTube video. It doesn't matter because they're not ready to listen. They're not ready to see. They're not ready to take the head from out of that sand. So at this stage, the best thing to do is let them find their own way, because they, like you, have an angelic support system. They have a guardian angel. They have angels around them, ancestors, guides, helping them, giving them signs, giving them divine synchronicities the way you do too. And that will pull them out of this depression and then lead to acceptance. And acceptance is the next stage to union, or the pre-stage to union. So this is where everything makes sense. This is like an upward turn. So even if during this period there's still, no communication, it's when we're closer than we've ever been before. So we have to accept things. And, it doesn't matter if you're a newbie to this journey. You're here, you're working out what this journey is, you're understanding, or you've been on the journey years and years, and, you'd class yourself as an oldie on this journey because you kind of know all of this stuff. But you understand as you go how easier it is to accept when we trust, when we have faith, because faith moves mountains. Faith is the catalyst to union. Okay? Because faith moves things forward. A catalyst is something that moves things forward, or moves it where it's meant to be. A catalyst can be a person or a situation. But the angel's saying faith is the catalyst. Faith is the turning point. Faith is what turns it all around. So for the divine feminine, when we accept, we start to believe. We start to have faith. We trust. We realise that, okay, we've been given this journey for a reason. We are surrounded and protected by angelic support, and we are not alone. It's time to breathe. It's time to go within. It's time to ask the question. So this is when you do your deepest work as a divine feminine, because acceptance is surrender. Acceptance is surrender, which is a form of letting go. When we let go, we can get confused because we think we have to move on. We don't move on. You can never move on from your twin flame, but you can accept the situation. That means if they are with someone else, you accept that they have to move away from that, because you can't be in union if they are with someone else. You'd only get a few breadcrumbs when you want the whole loaf. And it works the same way if you're in a relationship or a situation that needs to be released. You have to think about it with a logical mind as well as the eyes of love. And you learn to see through the eyes of love, and everything makes sense because clarity will come in. It will descend upon you because the angels will illuminate your mind and show you the way. And acceptance is about realizing there's a reason. There's a bigger picture to all of this. There's a reason it happens the way it does. And if something is continuing, separation, pain, struggle, it's because we're still learning to surrender and let go. So we realize we don't move on, we move forward. We move forward. So this is the upward turn. This is when we start feeling a bit better because we know we are safe. So we're looking above for answers. This is when usually you find your spirit guides or your angels, or, you realize you are guided by heaven because you start to trust. This is when you find, as a divine feminine, your soul tribe, your soul family, because you're understanding. You can find your soul family before, right at the beginning, but this is when you start to appreciate everything. So you're also very grateful during this time because this is a time of when things moving forward and, you find hope and faith. So it's also when you start moving through emotion rather than, living in that emotion. So you move through the emotion. You can't ignore the emotions you feel. That's not healthy. We have to experience, but we don't live in that emotion. Because that's when we become the victim, or we feel the universe is against us, or we blame everyone else. That's the energy of denial, anger, and bargaining. But when we accept, we trust, and that's a whole different energy. That's when we realize there is a bigger picture. There is a reason behind all of this. There's something bigger going on. And we start to become very wise and spiritually mature. We become an inspiration. This is when, as a divine feminine, you are shining your light and you start working on you. So you know that your twin is running this aligned path. It's like you're in alternate realities, but you're on alternate paths, but you realise through acceptance that all paths lead home. So you work through your emotion, you allow yourself to feel it, and then you pick yourself up. And if you can't do that, Archangel Michael, the protection angel, will come in and do that for you. So he picks you up and says, okay, let's do this. I've got you and you've got this. So acceptance is very healing. We move through our emotion and we move forward. So we don't move on, we move forward. You know, during this period of acceptance, it can go all different ways because as a divine feminine, there are always options. And you are a light being, you are a light worker. So you may choose during this time to work on service. You know, that's what I did before I came into my physical union. I threw everything into service. So, you know, instead of focusing on the journey so much, I was focused on helping others with the journey. And I was helping to understand from a higher perspective what it's all about. So I threw myself into service. For some divine feminines, a soul teacher could come in. You know, and that won't resonate with everyone. You know your path. You may know, right, my focus right now is service, my goals, my dreams, you know, my spiritual practices, finding self, who I am. So you go on a journey of enlightenment. Whereas other divine feminines may experience like this enlightenment through a soul teacher who will be a catalyst to your union. So you may experience love in a different way. It could be a friendship. It could be a family member returning to your life. It could be something you love to do. So this is what we go through when we are accepting as a divine feminine, because it's the journey to ourself. And that's when we realise that we're okay and we are safe and we'll be fine, whether the masculine's with us or not, because we know that this is a divine connection, a divine love, and we feel their energy. We feel their presence anyway. So we realise we don't actually have to have them physically here to be with them. They are already here. So we let go of the ego. So it's all a journey of releasing the ego. And we can never fully release the ego in this human body, because that's why we've come. But we learn to control it better. We learn that everything that happens to ourselves is neutral. It's the way we see it that makes it good or bad, a positive or a negative. You know, it's that yin and yang energy. So you may look at your person going away from you in a very negative way, and it can lead to health issues, pain, struggle and suffering. Or you could look at it in a positive way. Okay, they need time, they need space, and I'm okay with that. And then you see it positively and your life turns around because you have faith and you work on you and you feel good. From the masculine's point of view, the acceptance is the realization that they have to change. And that's when they start stepping up. That's when they take action. That's when they move forward. And usually when they move forward is when the feminine is surrendering and letting go, because you are mirrored energy. And when all that pressure is released off the masculine, okay? And it doesn't always mean a physical pressure. You know, that doesn't mean that you're constantly bombarding with the messages, even though we all do that along the way, or we try and make it right. You know, if you just kind of release the pressure off, because the masculines feel that on an energetic level, that you feel very needy or wanting of it. When that goes away, when that dissipates, the masculines feel, they feel free. They feel like, yes, I can do this. You know, because the masculine really desires the feminine to trust them. You know, they promise you that they will return. And the feminine promises the masculine loyalty, because the masculine's never received that deep kind of love before. This is the craving of everything. So this is how we come together and grow, and that's how union becomes possible in this lifetime. So it's all a journey of faith, trust and hope, and the knowingness of how powerful love is, that, you know, the power of love conquers all things. So we've got denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance, and these are also the stages of grief. And, you know, as someone who's just recently lost my mum, who was my best friend and my rock and, you know, everything to me, I totally understand these more than ever. But I understood that I've already healed a lot of these things before she passed. because of my spiritual growth and journey. So I kind of went through all these emotions before she passed, and then I've kind of gone through into the acceptance stage with her passing. And this is why, as a divine feminine, when you grasp things, you can move through the stages very quickly. Because when you feel anger, you know you're being triggered, and you understand that trigger is healing you. It's teaching you something. It's an opportunity to grow, to go within, to ask yourself why. So then you can observe the emotion, and then you can take it back, harness that tsunami, and accept and have faith and trust. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the Gilded Tarot for the Divine Feminine, and I'm going to use the Gilded Tarot Royale for the Divine Masculine. So we're going to use tarot for this. So we're going to ask the cards to clarify everything. So I'm going to get a card for the masculine and the card for the feminine for each stage of this journey and see what comes through. So let's see what comes through for the feminine for denial. What's going on with the feminine when the feminine is in denial? Thank you. What's going on with the feminine when the feminine is in anger? What's going on with the feminine when the feminine is bargaining? What's going on with the feminine? Well, that's bargaining as well. Let me just put these here. What's going on with the feminine when there is depression? Thank you. And what's going on with the feminine when there is acceptance? What's going on with the feminine when there is acceptance? Okay, so we've got the cards there. I'm really looking forward to doing these today. For the masculine then, the divine masculine, what's the masculine experiencing or going through when they are in denial? What do the masculines experience? For anger, thank you angels, that one as well. For bargaining, what do the masculines experience? For depression, what do the masculines experience? That one too, and that one. And then acceptance, what do the masculines experience? On the floor there, and that one too. Okay, very powerful. This will be powerful, I really feel it. So, well, let's do it this way. So I'm going to grab the cards like this. Okay, so I can show you what the cards fully are. This is just something that came to me this morning. The angels are like, this video will really relate, and, it will really help at this time. And, it always helps me too, because even though I'm a divine feminine, I feel there's hair in my face there, even though I'm a divine feminine in union, we still have to see the truth. We still have to understand, this is how we learn and grow. So, even if you think, well, I know all of this, Liz, this is how you help others by, understanding everything. So when we go through denial as a feminine and masculine, the feminine goes through this stalemate phase. This is the stuck energy. So when you're in denial, when the masculines run away, when you first go into separation, when you first have that dream kind of shattered, we feel that everything's stuck. We can't see a way out. It's like we've got that blindfold covering our eyes, so we don't see things clearly. And we go through a lot of pain and struggle, and we think, well, what happens now? There's a lot of pain there. And we go through the heartache. Wow. So you've got the separation pain. The pain, the feeling, the emotion. It hurts. My heart hurts, my heart aches. What do I do now? You feel all this pain, you feel like knives have gone in. And emotional pain is physical pain. When you get ignored, ghosted, or blocked by your divine masculine, it feels like your heart is broken open. You feel like you've been stabbed in the back and the heart. You feel betrayed. It's all this pain. So the denial is the pain. This is what we go through, because it's like the happy home that you envisioned or wanted has been taken away from you. It's very painful. Because we meet our twin, we have all this beautiful love, and the connection is so strong and powerful, and then it's like it's ripped away. So it's that feeling of, wow, and then you go through all the pain. So it's the struggle. From the masculine behaviour, or the masculine's point of view, it's where they do the work, because we've got 8 of Pentacles. So the masculines, they feel like, they know they have to do their work from a soul point of view. Maybe they even think this is too much hard work for me because I know I've got to change. So that's also the fear of the hard work. And that's sometimes why they run or go into the denial, because, they just can't face it at that moment. It's too intense, and it's everything they've always wanted. And they're like, why am I being so ridiculous and stupid? So they go into all this pain. Then we've got anger. So for the feminine, that's when the delayed communication is. That's when you get angry because there's no messages or no communication. You're in separation. You're not hearing from your twin. You get angry because they're not responding to you, replying to you. They're leaving you hanging. They're leaving you on read. They're not making any sense. They're not making any, kind of action steps to communicate with you. And you're like, what's going on? So the feminine gets angry because there's no communication. Because the natural thing we want to do as a divine feminine is clear the air, sort things out, bring in a solution. The masculines, however, have to go into their cave to work it out, because masculine energy is very male. And it doesn't matter if the masculine is a man or a woman, the masculine energy is very male. So they run and hide in their male cave. So they hide away. And they go through the Six of Pentacles, which is knowing that they are not enough. So they get angry because this is why they're giving me a blocked throat chakra when I'm doing this. This is what they're experiencing. They get angry because they know at that point they can't give you what you're giving to them. So that's another reason they run, because what they do is they understand that you deserve more, that you are valuable. They do respect you and you do matter. But they want to be able to give you the world the way you give them the world. And especially if they are dealing with a karmic situation, something they're tangled up in, and they can't physically give you what you want. So they go through all these feelings. So they're angry at themselves because they can't give you what you give to them. And that's why they go quiet. But they also know that there is victory, So what they do is they push themselves into their work or things that they feel successful in. So they're angry at themselves, but they're also creating too, So this is another time where a lot of the time in separation, the masculines work hard in their physical world, in their job. They may try and make things better because they're angry at their true self. So they try to be successful in all other areas, but they just end up angry from that. So, this is why, say, for example, if your divine masculine is a celebrity, it may seem like, they're either going down two ways. They're either going to be more successful in union or not successful at all. So not in union when, before union, when they're in separation, because this is how it feels. A lot of the masculines can't thrive without the divine feminine's energy. So the masculines as well tend to not be as happy. Obviously not as happy when they were happy when they're with the feminine, but there's a lot of confusion. So when I'm tapping in with the masculine energy, there's a lot of confusion, and that creates anger too, because they think, why aren't I successful anymore? Why isn't it working out? Why don't I feel this way? So it may be a small victory for them to walk away from you, but it's not long lasting, because the only victory they will ever have or really have is when they're with you. And this is when as well they want to reach out, or they go through this. So obviously, at the stage where, before acceptance and depression, that's as well when they're going to reach out to you. But this is also when they want to show you their love, because anger creates frustration, it creates tension, and it can create a lot of sexy thoughts within the masculine. So obviously this is as well when they want to show you love, and, they go in the darkness. So I'm seeing this as the darkness. It's kind of like knowing that they have to take a leap of faith. They're angry at themselves because they want to change their life. They want success. They want victory. And these are all the things the feminine can offer to them. And then in the bargaining stage, we've got the happiness. So again, we start thinking about the past, wondering if we can make it better. Can we make it better? How can we change? Is it something I've done? Going through all these feelings where we take it very personally, and we think, if only I'd have done this, I would have my happy ever after. But this is where feminine, you learn to be the warmth of the sun. You learn to shine your light, to be strong, and you also become very resilient. And this is the stage as well when the barriers can go up, because, we're scared that it's going to happen to us again. We're afraid that our happiness, that sun, that beautiful sun, or that union that we were expecting from our twin is suddenly ripped away. So we worry and we go into the fear and the pain of losing it again. So we're bargaining that too. I'll be a better person. I'll give up smoking. I'll give up alcohol. I'll, eat better if I can have this love. So we let go of the fear of everything by realizing our own power. So divine feminine, you step into your power. And during the bargaining stage, the masculines will realize who you are, the Queen of Cups. So, they will start seeing you for your true self. So, this is the time where they will more than likely be distracting themselves, burying the head in the sand and trying to make their 3D world work. But they know no matter what that you are the light, because the Queen of Cups is someone very loving, very kind, very giving, someone, in power, someone very psychic and aware, and they see you as a spiritual beacon of light. So the gold is that you are golden. So they realize during this stage that you are golden. So once again in separation, they realize that you are gold, that you are the true treasure. And the depression, this is where the feminines do the most work. I love that, because that's when you start working on you. So the journey to union, right at the beginning, when the masculines disappear, okay, that's when they start doing their hard work, because it's the same card in different decks. So this is when they start doing the work, okay, at the very beginning of the separation, or the very beginning when you come together. For the feminine, it's different, because you go through all these stages. But really, you start really doing your own work through the depression stage, because, you realize that, okay, I have the power now to move out of this energy. I'm going to work on me. I'm going to give back that energy I've been giving to them. I'm going to give that to me, to the world, to work on my purpose, to work on service, to work on sharing my light. And that moves things forward. They're giving me, again, this communication. So this moves everything forward. You take back your power, so powerful that the Chariot has come up, because that's you moving through all of your emotion, which is when we move into acceptance. So you take back your power. You realize you have the power to change your life. And this is when the masculines start changing their life with their thoughts. So they start planning, plotting, contemplating, working out what to do, finding a solution, setting the intention about what they want. And look at this, they become the magician. So they start to take control. I can change my life. I deserve this love. I deserve better than what I am living now. I deserve this. I have the power for this. I can do this. And then the justice happens. This is when the karmic endings come in. This is when balance occurs. This is when they start releasing what needs to go. And then in the acceptance stage, look at this, the new beginning in love. So beautiful. So the feminine, the relationship is restored, and it becomes beautiful, because you're seeing it through new eyes. You're seeing it through the eyes of love, not fear. You're accepting everything. You're understanding everything. You're realizing things from a higher perspective. You're also in love with life. So you're loving life. So the universe will give you so much more to be grateful for. So this is a cup of love, a cup of blessings, eyes opening to the truth, the relationship getting better, a sign about a new beginning. And we've got, wow, angels all around you. We release judgment. We stop judging our twin and acceptance. We start accepting. We have compassion, patience, faith, understanding, hope, all these things. And we realize this is meant to be. So this is also the power of the love. We realize that we are souls, that we are not just human beings. We are souls, and there's so much more than just the physical world. And we also release the burdens. So as a divine feminine during acceptance, we release the burdens, we let go. All the baggage, all the pain, all the struggle, all the stress we've been carrying around, we learn to let that go, to feel free. So that's also looking through the illusion, looking through the fear, seeing through everything, observing everything, and moving forward. So we move through everything to move forward. For the masculine, look at this. When they accept, their dreams suddenly start to come true, because they allow it in. They allow your love in. They've already become the magician in the depression stage. So the acceptance is, yes, well, I want this relationship. I want this love. I deserve this. I deserve my dreams to come true. And, that brings with it fear too. So they also go through sleepless nights, especially because the sleepless nights will bring in the feeling of, what now? How do I do this then? Because they go through the fear of taking the action. So in the acceptance stage, they work out the action to make their dreams come true. And wow, look at this. They get the world. They take control of their world. The world is in their hands. You guys coming together. And that really means it's happening now. And the world can also signify 2021. So if you're watching this in 2021, this is a huge sign of this happening now. So that's what happens. Feminines, you go through all of these emotions, feelings, and this journey of growth to help you realize your true power as a divine feminine. And the masculines realize they can have it all. And that will happen with you. So trust in the love. I hope this helps. If you've liked this, give me a thumbs up, share if you need to. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.